Gun violence seems to be a uniquely American phenomenon, with semi-regular mass shootings and nearly daily incidents in large cities like Chicago and New York. The responses to that violence are as varied as the communities where it happens, but one mother has decided to use her story of tragedy to create a national movement against gun violence. And she will be here with a local activist and New York State Assemblyman Walter Mosley to talk about it.
And then community on the theme. Community gardens seem to be popping up all over the borough these days. But what happens when you have an actual installation artist curate a project planted where several neighborhoods meet their local park? Well, you can see for yourself coming up when we visit the Outer Seed Shadow Project.
And then we're going to hand over hosting duties, if only for a few minutes, to Angela Renee Coakley, who is back to raise the curtain on the next installment of Be Seen, a community outreach partnership with the Bishop Gallery in Bed-Stuy and our own Brooklyn Free Speech team. And this month, it's all about the documentary film, that is.
Well, did you watch the Emmys last night? Well, you didn't really have to, because it is Monday, so tomorrow will be televised today, and the man holding the remote control is Simon Applebaum, who will have all the winners and losers. Plus, he took a field trip to hear a Hollywood actress turned executive share a vision about a more diverse entertainment landscape. But we're going to start with Music for a Cause, with the founder of the Concert Across America to End Gun Violence.
They aren't the only ones using music to make an impact on the epidemic of gun violence. From Four Wheel City, an entertainment organization that uses hip-hop to raise awareness, here is Welcome to Reality, an anti-gun violence anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Here we go, students. Of the United States of America. Time to get your heads right. It goes stop. Welcome to reality. Welcome. You think you're rough, you think you're tough, you think you're bad as me. You think you're hard, you think you God, you live your fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. Stop. Think. Welcome to reality. You think you're rough, you think you're tough, you think you're bad as me. You think you're hard, you think you God, you live a fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Mr. Knucklehead, messing up in school, Mr. Hat to the back with your do-rag on, pants hanging off your ass, thinking you mad strong. Mr. Can't think, read or write. Mr. Hanging in the streets all night. Mr. Ain't too bright. Mr. Wanna drink beer, smoke weed and shoot dice. Mr. Wanna carry guns, cause you can't fight. Mr. 20 years old, still in the 9th grade. You supposed to be in class, but you in the hallway. You living life the wrong way, headed down the wrong path. And I be trying to put you on, all you wanna do is laugh. Mr. Gotta stay fly, gotta stay high. Mr. Living life like you never gonna die. I ain't trying to play, I'm trying to open up your eyes. Before you end up in jail or end up paralyzed, you better stop. Think. Welcome to reality. You think you rough, you think you tough, you think you bad as me. You think you hard, you think you God, you live a fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. Stop. Think. Welcome to reality. You think you rough, you think you tough, you think you bad as me. You think you hard, you think you God, you live a fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. Yeah, now let me talk to you, miss. Miss thinks she all that, thinks she cute, miss. Miss weave in your hair with your tight jeans on. In the mirror all day like you got it going on. Miss, all you care about is your looks. Miss, why you carry school textbooks in your pocketbook. Miss Paris Hilton, Britney top model wannabe. Trying to sneak up in the club with your fake ID. Miss finish school, be all you can be. Get a college degree and grow up to be smarter than me. Don't waste your time chasing Mr. Cause all Mr. wants to do is hit ya. Get the picture, sister. I ain't trying to play you, I'm trying to convince ya. But making no mistake, I'm trying to convince ya. Before it's too late and reality hits ya. You better stop, think. Welcome to reality. You think you're rough, you think you're tough, you think you bad as me. You think you hard, you think you God, you live a fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. Stop, think. Welcome to reality. You think you rough, you think you tough, you think you bad as me. You think you hard, you think you God, you live a fantasy. Keep it up and you gon' end up sitting down like me. No matter whether you're Mr. or Miss, I'm trying to prevent you from ending up like this, or ending up like Rick, or ending up like Chris, or ending up stiff. Come on, you could end up rich. All you gotta do is stay in school.
I'm gonna tag that. Awesome. Those were the Four Wheel, help me out.
Anti-gun violence anthem.
Yeah, they like promote all of these positive things in the community for able-bodied folks and people who are otherly abled as well. So you can check them out on YouTube. They've got some great content out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The cycle of gun violence in America is only rivaled by the cycle of public outrage. Every time there's a mass shooting in the United States, the public demands tougher gun laws, and every time the outrage gives way to inaction. The cycle has been repeated from Newtown to Virginia Tech and Granada Hills to Orlando.
All right, we're going to give you a second to watch this because you probably may remember this scene, the largest public protest in the United States against guns. That was 16 years ago on a Mother's Day in the year 2000. The Million Mom March featured speaker after speaker who demanded action. They were parents, activists, politicians, and musicians. And behind it all, a suburban mom named Donna Dees-Thomases, who until then says her biggest thing she ever organized was a carpool. Now Donna is back at it again, organizing a nationwide event called, it's next Sunday, by the way, and it's called the Concert Across America to End Gun Violence. Donna Dees-Thomases joins us on BK Live now. Welcome to the studio, Donna.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. Also joining us is Kim Russell from the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, who survived after being shot during a robbery in which her friend was killed. And returning to BK Live is New York State Assemblyman Walter Mosley, representing the 57th District, which includes 5 Brooklyn neighborhoods. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
And by the way, we spoke with the National Rifle Association and invited them too, but they never got back to us. Donna, why don't we start with you? Let's talk about progress. Since the Million Mom March, why don't you give us a scorecard about what new gun laws, if any, you are most pleased with?
Well, even just within the first few months of the Million Mom March, we started to see changes in gun laws. Some states like Maryland passed a childproof handgun law, and that has been happening across the country. Within weeks of us launching the Million Mom March, Governor Pataki at the time introduced a package of gun reforms in New York State. I think you could get a gun when you were 18, and now it's 21. And that came from the impetus of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence, who've been working on those bills for many years, and we were sort of the wind at the sails for that to happen. And those passed maybe a few weeks after the Million Mom March. And we've seen a lot of progress as we've gone along. We've had some setbacks too, but that's what a movement is. You take a few steps forward, and then you have to take a few steps back. But I think most now we are moving forward in most parts of the country. Some parts not.
So, Kim, more than anyone sitting at this table, you've been a direct victim and survivor of gun violence, and you work for the Brady organization, which he was the most prominent person that America had ever seen almost shot and survive, and whose life was impacted by guns. So I wondered, just in that whole timeline, from Brady to your event to the Million Mile March, what are you hardened by?
Well, I'm really moved by other survivors like myself. I mean, I think what most people don't realize is that gun violence can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And we've become so numb because it happens so often. But, you know, people killed by gun violence, these are real people. You know, my friend Philip, who was shot and killed in 1999, he was a high school teacher, a beloved high school teacher. This impacted his students, his family in California. His younger sister just recently outlived her older brother. His mother follows me on Facebook and says that she sees my children as her vicarious grandkids. So this was, you know, 17 years ago, and we're still so impacted, entire communities. So that's why I do what I do. And one of the best things Sarah Brady said, Jim's wife, was that, you know, if we can't change the laws, then we need to change the lawmakers.
Assemblyman Walter Mosley brings us to you. Thank you again for joining us on BK Live. Always a pleasure to have you. Now, I read you grew up in Brooklyn and gun violence affected your life in certain ways, and it actually led you to join the National Rifle Association. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay, good. Wanted to make sure. What, if any, perspective does that give you on gun violence in Brooklyn and the U.S.?
Well, first, thank you for having me again. I think one of the things that it allowed me to do is give me a broader perspective in terms of how gun violence continues to be perpetuated in lieu of the inactivity that's taking place in Washington, D.C. And then what we need to do and continue to do at the State House and the state level and at the local level to ensure that what's surrounding us does not permeate us as well as paralyze us from continuing to move forward. So for us, we passed in 2013 the New York SAFE Act, but we need to continue to do more. We know that in Washington, D.C., the CDC fails to get annually resources to look at this as a public health matter and the psychological and the physical impact it has on our communities throughout the country. So right now my office, along with some of my colleagues, is working with the City University of New York to do our own study to make up for what's not taking place in Washington in an effort to understand the holistic approach of how this is impacting communities and individuals and individual families throughout our nation.
I'm interested in knowing if you guys think a top-down approach or a grassroots effort is really the most effective thing, or what combination of those two things?
Both. I'm all about the grassroots, and I have to say I have to commend our Brooklyn City Council people and our Brooklyn elected officials. Eric Adams, your borough president, he was the first man to sign up for the Million Mile March in 1999 when he was a police officer. So I watched him grow as a politician, and he is very much about gun violence prevention at all times, as is Ken Thompson, your Brooklyn DA. You have a tremendous force here in Brooklyn to do the right thing. So yes, you need to do it at the grassroots, at a local level, but we really need now at this point to start with our Congress people. Again, as Kim said, if we can't change the laws, we need to change the lawmakers. And because a lot of the guns that are coming into Brooklyn and other places are coming from states with weaker gun laws. Right. So we need a strong federal background check law. We have a basic background check in place, but now that we have the internet and gun shows, there are loopholes. So we need something done at Congress too. So it's at both sides. Even
when the legislators change, the NRA remains the same. People cycle in and out of, so your member organization, they are steady as ever.
Well, that's true, but yet again, it's not. When I went to the national conference in Louisville, Kentucky a few months ago,
you went into the lion's den.
I went into the lion's den. Sometimes you have to be a Daniel to understand what it's like to be in the midst of a warfare that you're trying to defeat. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I constantly heard from people who were at the conference was that they are for sensible, reasonable gun reform.
Yes, they are.
But also the bigger thing.
What's the holdup? If they want the reform and we want the reform, where's the impasse?
The impact is in the manufacturers.
Exactly.
And they're the ones who drive the agenda.
People making money
off of the thing.
They're the ones who drive the agenda, and they're the ones who continue to pay the high-priced K Street lobbyists, continue to infiltrate elected officials through donations, continue to put out a message and a narrative that really is confusing, it's misleading to not only to the members, but also to the general public at large.
Kim, as someone who survived a shooting yourself, what do you think about the way the public reacts to these mass shootings?
Well, I think we get really upset. We post things on social media for a couple of days, and then it's gone. Mm-hmm. And working in this field, I can't tell you, as a survivor, it's really tough. It's a very emotional issue, and I'll never forget being on a conference call discussing with other organizations how we're going to handle messaging the shooting in Planned Parenthood that happened in Colorado, which probably many of you have forgotten. Yeah. As I'm on the call, breaking news is coming out that San Bernardino is happening, and then that gets swept under the rug, and we have to move on and respond to this next one. Yeah. And it's never ending. And so it's really hard to be proactive when you're constantly responding to these shootings.
Can I add something to that? Yes, America sometimes has a short attention span because we have to do our daily lives. You can't focus on gun violence 24/7. However, on Monday, September 26th, the first presidential debate, we have two candidates. Mm-hmm. We need to demand from them what are their solutions for gun violence prevention. And today is the day that Lester Holt is supposed to submit his questions to the debate commission. So we have an opportunity today to actually call Lester Holt and say, we want gun violence prevention to be a topic in the presidential debate.
What's Lester's Twitter handle? We should send him a message.
We have it. Lester Holt. And I think the phone number is 212. I shouldn't give it out, but you call NBC. Yeah. And just, and Lester Holt, I don't know where he's from, but I know he spent a lot of his career in Chicago.
That's right.
And we have one of our organizers who's doing the Chicago concert on September 25th. That's next Sunday. It's going to be at the DeSable Museum for African American History. And it's a free event, but she's asking for donations for help youth mentoring organizations and, quite honestly, for funerals. What is wrong with our country when we have to raise money to bury children? Yeah. And so that's on Sunday, and Monday is the debate. And we are going to try to get America's attention on Sunday with music across the country and have people focused on it, because we've lost 500,000 people to gun murders in the last 50 years. That doesn't account suicide, which is much greater, and accidental shootings. So we are going to focus on September 25th, and ironically, Congress actually designated that day in 2007 as a day to remember victims of murder. And that's the only thing they've done. And it took 10 years of lobbying for an organization to actually get a day of remembrance. So if you're worried about we have a short attention span, that's Sunday, and Monday's the presidential debate.
Assemblyman Mosley, Senator Schumer has said a progressive Supreme Court justice is his #1 goal. How possible do you think it is that we get such a desired Supreme Court justice and any real change is made to the Second Amendment?
Well, first it starts with November 8th, and I know this is the nonpartisan show. We're not, I'm not going to talk politics, but I think first and foremost it starts at who's in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and his or her agenda will pretty much set the tone by which he or her will select nominees, to go before the Senate and to be sworn in potentially as a member of the Supreme Court Justice. So to me, I know that there are individuals who are upset with both candidates, that they believe both candidates are imperfect, but we live in an imperfect world. But at the same time, I just like to understand the ramifications and the consequences if we do not vote, and if we do not vote for the person we believe is best reflective of what we need to do when it comes to gun violence and countering all the ills that are associated with gun violence in our country.
So I know you guys are all engaged in multi-pronged attacks from the inside, from the legislature, from advocacy. There's also a cultural aspect to this too. Lena Dunham made some news this summer when she was talking about removing guns from subway posters that were advertising for, I think it was the Jason Bourne movie. So what about that winning the hearts and minds before you get back into the concert and what's going to happen, just about the popular culture and getting rid of the bang bang?
Well, I love to see people like Lena Dunham speak out. I mean, I think that's, our society really looks to celebrities. They look to musicians, and they have a huge stake. Someone like Kim Kardashian, she's got millions of followers on Twitter. When she tweets something about gun violence prevention, people take note. So I think they have a very important role to play, and I think it's exciting to see them taking this up. I mean, most social change movements that have had success have had, the buy-in from celebrities and musicians and artists. It's exciting to see what's happening.
What else is exciting is the lineup for some of these concerts going to be at the Beacon. I know Roseanne Cash has just signed on.
We have Vi Higginson's gospel choir from Harlem playing at the Beacon.
Awesome.
We have Eddie Vedder. We have Roseanne Cash. Mark Cohn, he is a gun violence survivor. He was shot in the head in 2005 returning from a concert. I think I said Jackson Brown. I have to say Roseanne Cash has been a longtime activist. She's been working on this issue for about 20 years. But we have a lot of community events going on in Brooklyn. So if anybody wants to go to our website, concertacrossamerica.org, it's concert as singular. We are one people on Sunday with different forms of music, hip-hop, rap, country, classical.
Across the country.
Across the country. It's one concert, but we have several things going on in Brooklyn. Several synagogues are participating. Jalopy Cafe has got something going on. I passed a church in Chelsea yesterday, and I picked up their form, and I saw it in there, church at St. Xavier's in Chelsea. So you can go on our website and you see all the churches that are participating. It's very much a faith-based event across the country, in addition to celebrities.
So you don't have to be personally touched by gun violence to use your life and start where you are to affect change. So maybe you start by going to the concert and meeting some like-minded people on Sunday.
People. Exactly.
That's an exceptional lineup. Are there tickets left?
Yes, they are. At the Beacon, they are, but they're going fast.
Okay, I bet.
So,
get on it. Well, thank you all for being
Thank
here.
you.
We really appreciated that.
Thank you so much.
Again, this Sunday, the concert across America
America
to end gun violence. Appreciate it.
Thank you very
so
much for being here.
Thank you.